Trump's Mar-a-Lago home, reportedly containing information describing a foreign government's nuclear capabilities. Citing anonymous sources, the Washington Post revealing some of the documents were so secret, only cabinet-level officials or higher could give authorization for others to see them.
Okay, by the way, besides citing anonymous sources, she's presenting this as credible so far.
Joining me now, former Georgia Congressman, former Judiciary Committee ranking member.
A lot of formers in there. It's weird. Lost his job, did he?
Doug Collins. Doug, great to see you this morning. Your thoughts on this report, but probably more to be expected of.
Yeah, probably other things coming out.
Kind of
like they're just dripping out these details that are incredibly damaging.
And drabs that would be coming, leaks, if you will.
Just think of Trump's diaper as a legal argument.
Seen this before coming out of justice and maybe the FBI.
This is just, it gets to a point where it just, it was becoming expected. I hate to say that, it's becoming expected.
Yes, it's expected. After months and months of this idiot keeping classified documents at Mar-a-Lago, it's expected. It's starting to, I mean, ever since I lost my seat, both as an elected official and on the judiciary, I just gotten used to the idea of things just stacking in, like, everywhere I look. I'm a loser.
This was such classified information, like you just said. Explain to me why it's being leaked on an anonymous source.
It's not. The details are not being leaked. The possible content, by the way, there's lots of countries they could be talking about. There's lots of countries he could have information on, but he doesn't. They haven't mentioned which country it is. The only difference was it our nuclear secrets? No, it was another country's. That's all that's come out. There's not a fucking treasure map or like the blueprints for a nuclear missile from North Korea.
To the media. I mean, this is the part that is just, again, it goes to just reinforce what everybody is beginning to believe about this raid.
It's not a raid. It was a legal search and seizure of documents that didn't belong to the former president.
It was not as much about what they knew. They knew this, that they had interest in documents for several months and then decided to do a raid, take, everything in the sun that they could find. And now
everything in the sun that they could find. First of all, I don't think he's referencing Barron. I certainly hope not. But again, one of the problems is that these documents were in the path of direct sunlight.
It's just slowly coming out. This is exactly what President Trump had talked about. It's what the judge is talking.
Yes. It's like a gangster coming out and going, you're going to hear lots of things about, cocaine, guns, hijacked trucks. I mean, you can expect the prosecution to start using big legal terms like dead body, shallow grave. You're going to hear this kind of stuff. And then months later, Your Honor, we found his main rival in a shallow grave. I was like, see what I tell you. This is exactly what I said. Your Honor, this is just the kind of thing we have expected, this kind of an attack.
Well, and I think that's why, a lot of people are just losing complete faith that this isn't really an
items taken in Mar-a-Lago search. 11,000 documents, 103 with classified markings. 48 empty folders marked classified, the contents of which we can't find. 42 empty folders marked return to staff, secretary, military aid, where the folders, and certainly the contents, were not. 19 articles of clothing / gift items. Yes. 18, like 3 t-shirts and 16 German Barabons worth millions of dollars.
Investigation that is designed at something that they could have avoided or fixed. It's designed to make a slow drip and drab to just damage President Trump.
Why would it damage him? If he hadn't done anything wrong, why would the drip and drab, it just sounds gross. I think it's just the drip. Yeah. why would it be damaging if he hadn't done anything? Why would the drip do anything? What's to drip if there's nothing in the bucket to leak in the first place? Ugh.
James Freeman, jump in here.
Just help us, because Collins is screwing the pooch.
Yeah, and we have to note the history here. When you're talking about anonymous sources in the Washington Post related to an FBI investigation of Donald Trump, the history here tells us we need to be extremely skeptical. I would...
Hold on. Of whom?
Also, the timeline here, given that Merrick Garland mulled over for weeks whether to approve this long period of the summer when it was not authorized, suggests that it wasn't the necessarily the hair on fire.
No, he needed direct evidence. And it turned out that Trump had moved things out of that room during his team's review of the documents and then moved stuff back in. It wasn't until they got the footage that they went, holy shit, he's been lying to us. Okay, we got to act.
Information that...
Again, this is just silly.
That earlier Washington Post suggested. But anyway, I'm wondering...
Anyway, enough about details.
What is the resolution here, Congressman? Let's say as a
former congressman,
hypothetical that it comes to light that maybe this was an overreaction, that
maybe what if it comes to light that this may have been an overreaction, and these secrets, while criminal, were not, nobody was in direct danger because the CIA and everyone had already figured out that these things were in the wind and they had moved people out of harm's way.
The FBI shouldn't have done this, that it was not really just...
It's a lot of maybes.
...by the evidence. If the special master finds there was a lot of privileged material that should not have been seized.
If Trump was nowhere, he wasn't even president. So how could he have even, let's just, since we're going with fantasy, let's just go really far down. What if everything turns out to be that Trump is as innocent as a baby? What if we go back to a time when, before Trump had been recorded saying you can grab a woman by the pussy? What if then?
What is the sanction?
What is the sanction? If none of this turns out to be true and everybody was wrong, what could I say that would make me feel better?
That's been something I've been asking a question for almost 5 years. Let's go all the way back to the Russia investigation. Let's go back to the James.
Yeah, let's release the grand jury testimony and the grand jury evidence in the Mueller case. How about that?
Comey deciding to play prosecutor, judge, and everything else in the Hillary Clinton case. Let's go back.
Yeah, let's go back to him not announcing the case that turned out to be nothing against Hillary Clinton, and see if the election turns out the same way. I know we all know how Steve Bannon feels about that, but I have my doubts.
Back to the issues around even going into the White House when you had Comey and the rest of them still targeting Flynn and other issues.
Flynn. Targeting Flynn, he stepped down for lying to Pence.
Up to the Mueller investigation. My problem that I've had with several years is with the FBI, especially the senior leadership and the seemingly ideologue-driven running of some on that
seemingly
top level, is that there is no accountability. We've had some just leave. They've landed on their feet at other, at TV, writing books. Nothing is held accountable.
Dude, Comey left because Trump let him go and then bragged to the Russians that he had him fired because he was a nut job and he was against him. When if it hadn't been for Comey, Trump would have never gotten elected. Then he puts in Chris Wray, and then ever since Chris Wray has been in, he's done nothing but attack the FBI.
Here. And for those of us who look at this and say, why is there different standards of justice? It is seeping.
There aren't.
Out of the American public. That's my concern. Is that it'll just.
That's my concern, that if I make up enough details, maybe I can convince people that that my feelings. We can just pretend that we can put all of Trump's stealing of documents in a magic bubble and watch it fly up into the sky. We never have to, as long as we don't look up, we'll never see it. It's right there, taunting me.
Oh, shuck their shoulders. Go on, say we.
Shuck your shoulder. Shrug. I am not a human corn cob. I don't shuck my shoulders.
tried, didn't happen, and then the media will just fall in line and never report on it again.
No, they won't report on it again.
This is the problem I have right now with Christopher Wray, Merrick Garland. I mean, there's just still a seemingly politicization at FBI that needs to be dealt with.
Congrats on getting politicization out without flipping out like Alina Habba did.
Until you see people held accountable, truly accountable for lying to the FISA court, things like that.
The only person who got busted for lying to the FISA court was doing it to benefit Donald Trump.
And you're not ever going to see anything change at FBI.
Right. Now, it's only through whistleblower or whistleblowers that we found out.
Yeah, blowers. It doesn't matter. 1, 10.
About the suppression or attempted suppression of the Hunter Biden investigation.
At least you didn't say laptop.
Looking into the laptop.
What laptop? There is no laptop.
And finally, people within these organizations are speaking up to the likes of Senator Grassley.
Prove it. Come forward. None of them are going to be in trouble. If there was real, behind the scenes manipulation going on there and the whistleblowers consent, they're protected by laws. They can come forward. You notice how, like, whistleblowers that are against Trump and others, like, eventually, even if they don't want to come forward, are outed, and the ones that come forward are, will testify under oath. None of these guys are magically talking to Grassley so far. Nothing.
Let's talk about double standard. Twice failed president.
Here's a double standard. Anonymous whistleblower, bad. Anonymous source, Washington Post. Anonymous whistleblower, good. Anonymous source at Washington Post, bad.
Candidate Hillary Clinton speaking out on the Trump raid while making a false
it wasn't a raid.
Claim about her own situation. She tweeted this in part, quote, "As Trump's problems continue to mount, the right is trying to make this about me again. There's even a Clinton standard. The fact is that I had 0 emails that were classified." Well, a 2018 Justice Department report found 193 classified emails were either sent to or from Clinton's server. In 2016, former FBI Director James Comey said publicly Clinton had mishandled classified information. And Doug, in fact,
they were classified after the fact.
Was interviewed by federal investigators.
Yeah, that's interesting. She was interviewed by federal investigators. She sat down for an interview. That's interesting. Why? And if you lie in that situation, you're in big trouble. Why won't Trump just sit down for an interview with investigators?
After Comey made that announcement in the summer of 2016, she was accompanied by potential co-conspirators who were acting as her lawyers.
Is that really a hole you want to dig?
And her answers were so, well, a normal person would have been probably charged with lying to investigators the way that Martha Stewart was that sent her to prison for 5 months.
So you're saying she should have pled the fifth 440 times like Trump did? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. Speaking of FBI agents who lied to their own department and still, really didn't have anything done to them. Look, if there's
they didn't even do it. What's up?
Ice cream shortage, the Clintons in some way will say that it's about them. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
If there's an ice cream shortage, the Clintons will somehow say it was about them. She brought them up. Honestly, was that what he said? Did I mishear that?
Look, if there's an ice cream shortage, the Clintons in some way will say that it's about them.
Yeah, it's just weird. I'm not sure. Like, I think eventually, maybe it's a QAnon thing that if you're defending Trump in this situation, you have to at some point resort to gibberish. That's your only way of getting around this. At some point, God, what am I going to say? They want me to come on there and defend Trump. You know what? Just say words that don't mean nothing in an order that no one's ever used them before. It worked for me.
I mean, it's just ridiculous at a certain point in time. And
Yeah, at a certain point in time. I put it on my calendar.
get this idea that she didn't, the emails. Let's forget about the emails. She had a server in a closet at her house.
Right. That was never hacked.
I mean, give me a break.
Yes, real estate agents have a server in their closet in their house. It's not a big deal.
It's not even, I mean, you don't even attempt, whatever you have on it is not, you just bypass the entire operations for Secretary of State. I mean,
no, you don't. You separate your personal from the political work that you're doing by specifically having a private server, as opposed to using Gmail or Amazon or Yahoo or one of these other sources. In which case, by the way, Petraeus, his Gmail was hacked, and Colin Powell, his Yahoo account was hacked. You know what wasn't hacked? Hillary's server.
look, if we want to be lectured to by somebody on ethics and morals in government, it certainly will not be Hillary Clinton or her husband. This is just not,
Why? Oh, because what are we going to do? Clinton death count now?
Where to go. And again, it's just a vain attempt at staying relevant. Yes, she should have been held accountable. If it wasn't for her buddy Jim Comey, who actually did
If it wasn't for her buddy Jim Comey, she would have won the election.
But then said, no reasonable prosecutor would prosecute this case, which is a bunch of bull, because the attorney general was compromised at the time because of her meeting with Clinton. I mean, that'd have been a whole different story there. It's just ridiculous that you would have Hillary Clinton weighing in on this. Maybe it's just time to go do a podcast, relax, and get off the stage.
She did.
Okay, first of all, his advice to Hillary Clinton to just go get off the public stage and go do a podcast. I would like you to look over his right shoulder and recognize that this is a former member of Congress. Look at the little sign that he put in sight of the camera for this. So Doug Collins is saying that the way you kind of put yourself out to pasture is to do a podcast. Meanwhile, it's right over there. Hold on. I'll move myself over to it. Hold on one second, if I may. Oops, let me move this. There I am. Let me move me over here. Right there. See that? See that thing? See this little sign? Yeah? All right. Back to where I was. Why is my name all kilter? Hold on. Beep. There we go.
Say that she's not, you won't see her on the ballot in 2024. But do you remember, I think.
No.
If my memory serves, she was.
What you mean? Because she might win? She's still going to be young enough to run in 2028. I got news for you.
The C on documents as a classified designation, she was like, I don't know what that means. If my recall this early in the morning is good.
Yeah.
It isn't.
Doug, given all of this, what we were just discussing, the midterm elections coming up.
Yeah. This is exactly what you want to be talking about leading into a midterm, about two people who fought an election 6 years ago, and one of which who is not on the ballot and wants to be, who's eating up all the attention for House and Senate races.
Couple months, less than, we're almost 2 months to the nose. Is this a distraction?
You brought it up, dummy.
For Republicans.
Yes, it's a distraction for Republicans, and it's Trump's fault.
Take a lot of talk about Mar-a-Lago, a lot of talk about President Trump, who is not on the ballot. We're even talking about Hillary Clinton. Is that to the...
And whose fault is that? Honest to God, do you think that bringing on Doug Collins to talk about like Trump versus Hillary Clinton whataboutism is actually like a necessary story that they have to be doing? You think filling time with Doug Collins is actually a worthwhile use of their time at all? It's absurd. If it's a distraction, don't talk about it. If you are talking about it, get someone there who knows something genuine about it. If you've got Doug Collins on blathering about this, then you are simply filling time and part of the distraction. There is zero relevance to having him on to talk about this at all. None. This may be a moment where she, as the fill-in host, is a bit aggravated that they don't have room to actually talk about something that matters. They can't get any of the candidates that are running. They can't get Oz. They can't get Walker. Or they don't want them, or they're afraid that both of them will be terrible, so they'd just rather not talk to them. They don't want to talk to. There's a myriad of House seats. You could have somebody running that's actually running for office talking about, touch on this for a split second and then talk about what the Republicans are going to do. You can do all that stuff. Why are you filling time with this crap?
Republicans' detriment.
Dagan, I think you've now hit it.
You've hit on it. That's the thing. Believe me, if you're having somebody like me on, we're losing.
This is the part that is for many of us who believe that this has, is so little to do with actual information that may or may not should have been stored, taken, stored, whatever,
may or may not been stored, taken, stored, whatever. Maybe, yeah. Maybe he shouldn't have taken classified documents, blah, 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 blah. We shouldn't even be talking about this. We should be talking about what a great candidate Herschel Walker here is in the state of Georgia.
I'll call it. Here we are again in the red speech, the red disaster speech from last week, again from Biden, just sort of emphasized this.
The red disaster speech? Oh, you mean MAGA is a red disaster for red districts, and they're a disaster. Okay.
Have nothing to run on.
They have nothing to run on except the getting out of Afghanistan, the infrastructure bill, gun reform, bipartisan, both of those, by the way. Cutting the deficit in half, shaving almost $20,000 off of student loan debt, removing lead pipes from the water system in America.
The American people have decided, and rightfully so, that their administration's policies are a disaster. So.
No, they haven't. As a matter of fact, independents in particular have swung almost 15 points.
What was the best thing? Let's just bring back what they felt has worked in the past. Let's just bring back up Donald Trump. Let's bring back.
Yes, that's what Democrats did. They brought him up. Trump had no part in this. Good Lord.
Up other issues. Let's slowly drip and drab it out to the people that they will then take away from people not.
A lot of this dripping and drabbing thing is just gross.
Asking us about how disastrous people walking. When I have a press secretary who doesn't even know that they're walking across the southern border, this is just, frankly, I'm.
Okay. That was Karine Jean-Pierre saying that people don't just walk into the country free and clear. And then they show the picture of the gate. Remember, we covered this before, but the idea that they're asking her, like, people just walk in with COVID, but everybody else has to get tested. And you're like, what fucking year is this for one? Secondly, they don't walk in with COVID. Some people may sneak into the country, and we work to get those folks out. And there may be people that are processed for asylum and that, but they aren't just like checked for COVID, and then if they have COVID, released into the country for free. If you have COVID, get in that line, you go straight into the country. Anybody without COVID, stand over here and you go in a cage.
Cynical enough now to where it's just hard for me to believe that this is not in some way coordinated. Yes, coordinated. There's nothing. It's very cynical. I have to think that it couldn't be that Donald Trump is a complete fuck up and that Republicans are just this bad at their jobs. It has to be. There has to be a conspiracy against us. This is a coordinated attack. They made us choose Walker and Oz and Mastriano. They had used this time machine and went back and made Mastriano dress up in a Confederate uniform, and then they released the picture in this coordinated attack as soon as they discovered it. to just continue to distract from what the election is about in November.
What is it about?
And
America, what's really about, which is as soon as Republicans get in control of the entire government, they are going to sunset Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security every 5 years. Any social program will be wiped to zero, and if they can't get a vote back in for it again, they'll just let it be destroyed.
they're also very scared that November comes, the Republicans take over the House, take over the Senate. Then a lot of these questions are going to be back aired out, but they're going to be coming from a different perspective, not a friendly Congress, but they're going to be coming from some people who are asking, why did this happen?
Yes, these things are just a distraction. But if we get in charge, we're going to weaponize that distraction because that's what we're running on. Ugh.
And why do conservatives seem to be treated with a different standard out of this Department of Justice?
Because criminals are treated with a different standard than innocent people. That's how the justice system actually works. If you are guilty and there is a prevalence of evidence against you, you will be treated differently in a prosecutorial sense than someone who, say, just doesn't have any evidence against them. That's a big part of it. Never mind the fact that that Rovember is coming, and this decision has already been made by a lot of people. If anything, this helps them distract from the Roe v. Wade and the Dodd, related decision from earlier this year, and act like there's something else to argue. There ain't.
Karine Jean-Pierre, I believe, called the Nord Stream 1 pipeline the Nordstrom pipeline.
Have you heard Trump's attorneys talk? Also, drip and drab.
I didn't make that up. Doug Collins, thank you so much.
She doesn't make it up either.
I think what you want to say is, you can't make that stuff up. Well, she sure can. I don't like. That's it. That's the end of that one. Holy smokes! All right, I'm gonna let you guys go before I run into another. Yeah, shuck your shoulders. It does like, hey, bro. Yeah. Trump called Truth Social Troth Central. So, we'll just have. Shall we just go on a big tear about what it's like when people misspeak? Can we do that? Shall we have a moment where, for example,
we're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President Mike Pence and his wonderful wife Karen.
Thank God Trump never misspoke. Yeah, that's the nice thing is, and I want to be clear about that. Trump never misspoke. He meant every word he ever said.
De-engineering.
Everything made sense.
Action replays in magnified fortune.
Which, who doesn't understand?
The
details.
When they gaze upon Yosemite.
Right.
Immortal principles.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Thank God he had such a tight grasp on the English language.
Michigan gave us Motown. Gave us the Mustang.
We haven't seen these. We haven't gone through some of these in a while.
People coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup. Medicine and medical and what we're doing. You'll have nobody guarding your potatoes. 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes later, they say, remember the first question? Not the first, but the 10th question? Yosemites.
It's, he had such a grasp on, the
computer board.
Technology.
Computer board.
Because that's what we say.
Computer board.
As you do.
A lot of that sand is going to be loaded up with peace.
Uh-huh.
Climb over each other's face. You can climb right over their face. You don't have to wear masks. You don't have to do anything. hydrosonic. I call it super duper. They don't like the gas. They don't like the gas.
Yeah, grown man.
I felt really good almost after taking it.
I don't think we've dived into how special a statement that was.
I felt really good almost after taking it.
What?
I felt really good almost after taking it.
I honestly, now you're starting to understand how he hires attorneys.
They do action replays in magnified fashion. You know the expression? You know the expression? They come after us from every angle. They're after us. And we're here, and they're not.
Mm-hmm. Sure. As you do. What was the other one?
You're going to frack. You're going to frack.
Yeah, sure. And where there was one more that I wanted. Where is it? Hold on. These are the Lindell ones. Hold on.
I don't know. That's the kind of thinking you've got. That's the kind of thinking you're supposed to be voting for, I guess, huh?
I had a beat off.
I didn't become different. I got impeached twice. And boy, that was like a lightning rod went off.
I had a beat off. I had a beat off.
I know I have it in here somewhere. Where is it?
What we are doing is we want to terminate health care. Assuming you're believing in atmospheric filth.
Right. Yeah. Thank God that if only Biden could hold on, could speak as clearly as Donald Trump.
And I was part of a family that was very well knit.
Oh God.
While they drown your endless torment of, what they do, they have an endless list of propaganda and propaganda methods.
All right, only a couple more, and then we'll end. I think it's the phrase is Attorney General.
Indiana Attorney General.
Indiana Attorney General.
Indiana Attorney General.
General. Now, that would make total sense if Larry Kudlow was saying it after 6 gins.
Indiana Attorney General.
By the way, reverse engineering is a term when you take a piece of technology that already exists and you deconstruct it and you steal it by basically opening it up and looking at how it's run and reverse engineer it. You build something from someone else's actually completed project or completed technology.
De-engineering.
De-engineering is not a word. And then, of course, who can forget our blessed country?
God bless the United States. Thank you very much.
I bless the United States. Thank you very much. My job is completely certain. And so everybody design. You think he was saying design? He was trying to say design? No, he was trying to say reverse engineering, just like he was trying to say immortal principles.
Immortal principles.
And yet failed so miserably. Hold on. There was another one. He meant exploding in terms of fire. It was another one. But I'm gonna let you guys go. I gotta go.